welcome to a new episode of Wildside Walks. Today we're here in Bensham and we're here to lead a group of lovely people around Bensham Court, where we've got community gardens and stuff, and it's all like upcoming projects. So just to start off with, I'm Lekshmi, this is Amelia. If this is your first time on our vlogs, we do lovely walks around Newcastle and all over. We try to go a bit broader than Newcastle, just around Northumberland, and just so that people know what we have around and the lovely places that we are very lucky to have.
Yeah, so as Leslie says, it's going to be a bit different today. We're going around the community group and we'll tell you a little bit more. We'll get Barbara, who is head of the Bees of Bensham project, to tell you a little bit more about the project, and yeah, we'll see how many bees we can get, we'll identify them and hopefully add to the growing record and show that we should encourage wildflowers and things like that in the area. So come join us.
We're just visiting the community garden just behind this apartment block, which is Bensham Court, and we've got this developing community garden project.
So we've just kind of paused to look at this grassy bit. We're just kind of trying to identify some of the key grass species or anything like that to see if we were allowed to let this grow and it wasn't mowed over, what plants could be there to benefit the bees. So there's a lot of dandelions and daisies, but there's also some different grasses, and there's a lot of different shaped leaves, which means there might be some wildflowers under there that are ready to grow if it wasn't getting mowed over. So,
and we've also got a potential Christmas tree just growing in the distance. Just that one there. Instead of buying one, they just grow in their own.
One of the lovely people who were on this walk with identified this tree here as Swedish whitebeam, and this is really good because if you have a look at that gorgeous blossom, I mean, that will absolutely be attracting all the trees. It's a shame we've come on a grey, windy day, but hopefully we'll catch a lot of stuff. So that's one good way the bees are being happy in this area.
This is the sort of whole of the garden, which is adjacent to the court. And yeah, we were just talking about how it's got a massive amount of potential of like being a really wildlife friendly place. Because since the community garden's coming up just there, which is really accessible by the way, like once that project's finished, I think it would be great like if the residents here or just the Bensham community members could just, you know, just join together for like a social event to just grow their own veggies and things. It would be great. But just the other side of it is we need bees for the pollination to make that a success, the community garden. And the bees, it's better to have them here just coming in naturally than like introducing them. It's always great to see like bees just naturally coming into a meadow. So we're thinking like if it's like a mix of wildflowers and trees and maybe like just a bit of park benches for the residents to chill out on, it would be a great combo of like people and wildlife coming in together, which is like what we need, especially in like residential areas. You've seen the green space next to Bensham Court. If you've got any ideas on like what's the best ways to sort of develop it. Well, another side of it is that you need a lot of people to support a project so we can get funding for it. So that's also another challenge, but if we know like what to do, because there's also like this is the other side of the building, the one that we just came from was just there. So there's so much space that we can develop into like a very wildlife friendly area for the residents. Okay, so as Amelia mentioned before, we've got two incredible humans in this video. One's Ben, one's Barbara. So Ben's the co-director?
Director of a community arts organisation called Dingy Butterflies, working in Gateshead.
Yes.
Strictly Bensham, but Gateshead.
So would you tell us a bit about sort of an inspiration or anything that you...
So my background is as an artist and
road there,
curator.
guys.
Yeah. We keep an eye on the road. So I've always been interested in working with communities and people around being creative and using art as a way of supporting people's well-being. And that's why we set up, and particularly in the Bensham and Saltwell area of Gateshead, which is where I live. So I'm not from here, but I've lived here for 20 odd years. And for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been working with Barbara and community groups and organisations so looking at nature and food systems. I think someone just found a bee.
And it's just gone a little bit higher. It knows exactly how high.
Yes, where were we?
So the last few years we've been working with Barbara Kingston, who's an artist and beekeeper, and looking at the nature in the area. It's a very urban area, very brick and concrete, residential, but with a few pockets of green areas and greenery. And we've been working with community groups and residents to explore what pollinators we could find in our community, what nature there is, monitoring it, not so much changing like areas, but more about monitoring what can we find in a very urban area in central Gateshead. And then seeing how we can then talk to people like the council and the people who've got maybe a bit of say around, well actually, what can we do to improve the greenery in this area. And we started doing a project as well. It came out of this around food systems to explore, looking at food poverty, food systems, food security, but connecting that to nature as well.
Thank you very much. Oh, there's another attempt. Close enough. She's so determined to catch a bee today.
Well, we've seen a lot more than I thought we would, considering it's slightly wet in the air.
Yeah.
And it's really windy.
The sun's coming out a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And wherever you see a circle of cobbles like that is where there was a windmill.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
And it's
quite cool.
obviously, you can understand why it's called Windmill Hill, because it's very windy. Can you see there were trees and there's bushes all around the edge of here.
Oh, that's a cat.
And just a couple of months ago, just before bird nesting season, they're all cut down. So this is the tiny forest.
So these are all like tree saplings.
Yeah, so I don't know if you know about the tiny forest.
To get a bee.
So this was put in by Earthwatch. So it's the Bensham Grove Tiny Forest. And they had some volunteers and some local tree people like Mark Shipley were in charge of planting the trees, and I helped plant 3. And then nothing else has been planted here. So this park used to be part of Bensham Grove grounds. So Bensham Grove is the big house just along there, which was the settlement. And it was a bit like the WEA, so it was kind of to give unemployed workers a chance for education and something to do. So the council took on the land, and then tiny forest was planted here. And all these things that you see have come up by themselves. So these are wildflowers that are already here. Hey, Rosie's got a bee.
She's got a bee.
I do the bee.
All this lovely.
A red tail. A red tail.
Yeah, red tail.
Okay.
Always tail.
Oh yeah, red-tailed worker.
Red-tailed worker.
Yeah.
Oh, fab.
Fabulous.
What a gorgeous little being.
I look how easy it is to tell what a red one looks like.
So I'm in this little forest bit that they've planted, and it is absolutely incredible. I was just talking to someone and he said some of them that he thinks have kind of come from seeds that have kind of flown in, like not all of them have been planted, but there's like 5 different species of grass. Like I think this is, oh, I'm falling over. This is cocksfoot, I think, potentially. But then we've also got thinner grasses and like I think this is Yorkshire fog. So there's all sorts of, and then you've got different trees like this, and there's just all sorts of gorse, and it's just amazing what's fitting. Is that you can't really walk you through it because there's so much. Like, look at that. And there's been a couple bees, but not loads because I think it's just rubbish weather for them, really. But like, look at all that. It's just amazing, and it's literally like, I don't even know, like 7 meters by 7 meters. It gets tiny, but this one patch will make an absolute difference, like such a big difference. It's a real shame they've cut down all the hedges along here. because that would have been a real vital habitat for a lot of things. So
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so these were not planted here?
No, no,
No.
nothing's been planted.
Oh, wow.
So these are all wildflowers. Nobody's planted a single thing here. This is wildflowers that grow here naturally.
And it used to be common ground where, like, for the people, like before the building, like say 200 years ago, it was like common fields for animal grazing and stuff, or arable, was it? Plants. And he said, they would only be like, you know, they'd have been dormant, and then when they dug to plant the trees in, it's like reawakened them, the seeds, and they're actually from like 100 years ago or 200 years ago.
So this would have looked like the grass here
Yeah.
if it was...
It was just, last year it was just like this.
Yeah.
Oh, that is lush. That's great.
Yeah. So, you know, this is what I keep saying to people, if you know, and it's difficult to convince people because they think they've got to plant a wildflower meadow. But if we brought people over from Bensham Court and just said, well, you know, and if you want a more managed look, you can always take out some of them and be a bit, you know, if people find it
hopefully we'll get something like that across.
Yeah.
Oh, but why would you want to manage this? Look at it, it's so lush.
Exactly.
So do you know like why we haven't done the rest of the area? Is it just to show the contrast, or?
Well, the tiny forests are only a very limited area, so they're generally two tennis courts. This is about the average size. This looks like one to me.
Yeah.
But it's really as an educational tool, and they've got them all over the UK. They've got several in London that I've been to, and it's a Japanese idea.
Right.
It's a great
I've forgotten
idea.
his name. So so you can bring school children along and educate them about trees, and just get people to understand what happens when you allow nature to take over a bit. But of course the council have quite strict rules about mowing everywhere because of people's perceptions about danger, perceived danger. And when this first went in, some people were objecting because they said it might be a place for, you know, bad people to hide. You know, it's a perceived danger. But if it's small like this, people can learn to understand actually it's not a danger to anybody.
Right.
It's not going to harbour particular dangers. But as to, and they come and they mow it every week. There's just a regime where they just mow it the same. It doesn't matter whether it's been dry or raining, whether it needs cutting or not. They just come along and cut it.
Yeah.
And
I wonder
if we get to the wildflower meadow, you'll see that we do the same. They do the same.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get enough people in Bensham just requesting areas not to be mowed so that wildlife can start coming back.
Yeah. Do you think like public awareness of this would like definitely help like expand this onto the rest of the area as well?
Yeah. But all around here, there were bushes all around here that were great
Right.
potential for habitat, and they've just been cut down to within a foot or two off the ground.
Or it would have been great for birds and things if they were taller.
Yeah, there was a lot of habitat, but it's gone. And I think in an area where like this, where it's very windy and you know humans allow a lot of rubbish to go on the street.
Yeah.
I think a lot of rubbish collects in places like that, so people's perception of it is that it's not looked after or that it's going to be dirty. So but that's a human created problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
Rubbish.
definitely. Look at that little honeybee. A honeybee with really huge yellow, shiny yellow pollen baskets. Wonder what flower it's from. Probably the buttercups in the tiny forest. But isn't it great, like the difference that it makes when people actually become aware of like what the difference between this and this is. And just because of the negative public perception towards that is why we have more of these. It would be great like if people got to know that this is what we need and not this. But it's just something that you get learned from when you're a young child. So it's just something hopefully the next generation can save.
Ask her what
Be Eve, I think, or Peter. You may know.
yeah.
That's a little crane fly.
Don, I know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
When I bump into him next, I'll ask him.
Yeah.
Look at its long legs. It's like a special creature, that. Finally caught a bee. What bee is it?
It's a male red tail.
Oh. Let me take a closer look, sorry. It's gone. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm not sure what this one is. I think it's early. It's got a little pollen basket, very tiny, so it's just starting to collect its. And look at that little cutie. We've got a ladybug. I need this ladybug, which is just moving now. It says it's Asian lady beetle, but it doesn't look like a harlequin because it doesn't have that M shape on its head. But it's got a lot of spots, so it could be like an 18 spot or something like that. But it's gorgeous, look at that.
I'm just trying to look. It's got reasonably long antennae, but I'm not sure what that is.
Its eyes are huge.
This what?
Eyes are huge.
Well, since everyone else is taking a photo, looking at
And this little moth, and it's so well camouflaged, it just looks like a dried leaf or something. Look at that. That right there. That's a moth. Just see a little flicker there. I'm gonna ID it, see what it's called. Called the blood vein moth. That's gorgeous. Oh wow.
I'll put him back where I found him.
Oh, look at that.
Some male mining bee, I think. No,
I think in this whole walk, I think the tiny forest is probably we've seen the most wildlife in.
Yeah.
So it just, that by itself kind of shows.
So we've just come through this and we looked to the left and I was like, what is this over here? And one of the volunteers said that it was a pillbox from World War II. So he said basically what happened was you'd have soldiers in that bit underneath and they would signal and they'd be keeping an eye out for any enemy aircraft and they'd signal to a big gun that was up on the hill that there was an enemy aircraft. How cool is that? Very cool, and they used to just sit under there. Very interesting. It's now hidden under. It's amazing that it's still there. I don't know how it's not been like knocked down or something. But
We've just walked through that little hedge road tunnel and yeah, I've been seeing quite a few bumblebees around ever since the beginning really, but yeah, I've seen some on those white flowers just now as well. Just loads of thistles. Don't think I'd see any bees in them.
no, I saw a crane fly. I love a good crane fly.
Alright, yeah.
They've taken us to, this was what is Casper Village, and basically they knocked it down I think 5 years ago and left it, so it's got all derelict, and as you can see it's actually gone really green. There's a lot of trees and things like that, and we've kind of been, well, the Bees of Bensham have been surveying it for bees and wildlife and things, and now they've said they're going to stop building on it again. What the Bees of Bensham are trying to do now is kind of ask them to say, like, look, what can you be doing for the wildlife that's clearly here? Like, can we somehow make something happen, that kind of thing. Which I think would be really good if that could possibly happen. Fingers crossed. Instead of just building your normal, not so good for the planet housing estate.
Walked into what used to be a amusement park as part of Casper Village, and there's a bit of the remnants in here. So we're just heading out now from the children's park, and we've just spotted a huge log where we saw
Early bumblebee nest, we think, anyway.
but I don't think we would have seen like 3-4 like bumblebees flying under the log.
I think it was more than that, like they kept going in and out and you could see the worker bees kind of shooting off, so that was very exciting.
Forgot to say, so we came here by car, which is like 20 minutes drive, but you can also get here by the bus, which is a 15-minute bus from town. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us on this walk. It's been a very informative walk and sort of
different.
It's more than a nature enjoying sort of walk. It's been a very what can we do to improve nature sort of a very informative.
I've had a really good morning, and I hope this makes you kind of look into the Bees of Bensham project and kind of notice more of the nature around you in like housing estates and things like that, because it does make a difference, it really does. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
The take on your bee catching today, Amelia?
Amelia 0, bees 1, unfortunately.
I think it's Bees 6, something like
I'm okay about that. No, I'm determined I'll catch one today, I will, but they have a sixth sense, and they know I'm coming for them, so we will find them. Nearly the size of you, actually, they stopped them.
Oh, wow. There was no need for that. There was no need for that.